The Punnett square was invented by Reginald Punnett around the turn of the century. It's a tool used by geneticists to determine what traits an offspring could have. These traits could be either physical or internal, like the chances of having a disease. To make a Punnett square, we're going to need to know the genetic traits of both the mother and the father. In this case, we'll look at flower color. We need to know how we represent a dominant and a recessive trait. A dominant trait is represented by a capital letter, while a recessive trait is represented by a lowercase letter. Let's look at this Punnett square as an example. The capital R represents the red flower trait, while the lowercase r represents the white flower trait. The mother, whose traits are on top, is a red flower. Even though she has both a dominant and a recessive trait, the dominant trait will mask the recessive trait. The father, whose traits are on the side, is a white flower because he has two recessive traits. This offspring has a 50% chance of being a red flower and a 50% chance of being a white flower. So how do we make our own Punnett squares? For an example, we'll determine the probability of a child having scoliosis. First, we need to decide what letters we're going to use. I'm going to use L. You can use whatever letters you want, but generally it's better to use letters whose upper and lowercase do not look the same. The capital L means not having scoliosis, and the lowercase l means having it. We'll say that the father is a carrier of scoliosis. This means that his code is going to be a capital and a lowercase l. It's important to note that when talking about diseases, a dominant and a recessive trait means that they don't show the disease, but they have the potential to pass it along. We'll say that the mother doesn't have scoliosis, so her code would be two capital L's. For the first box, we're going to cross the first trait of the mother and the first trait of the father. This is going to give us two capital L's. For the second box, we cross the first trait of the mother and the last trait of the father. This is going to give us a capital and a lowercase l. For the third box, we cross the last trait of the mother and the first trait of the father, which will again give us two capital L's. And for the last box, we're going to cross the last trait of both the mother and the father, which will again give us a capital and lowercase l. This offspring has a 50% chance of not having scoliosis at all, and a 50% chance of being a carrier.